to Justin's NFL football pick show. And obviously, right off the jump, while we're waiting for a couple of people to come in, that should answer the first question that was on anybody's mind, and genuinely the first question that was even on my mind, which was, am I still going to do this again this year? And the answer to that is an unequivocal yes. Most of the folks who know me on this platform know me because of my football show. So I am more than happy to be bringing that football show back again for 2022. There was a lot of radio silence from me on the NFL side of things as to whether there would be a show again this year, but fear not, there certainly will be. So you'll notice that obviously this is a live stream, and that's just the quickest kind of way to do the business that we're hoping to do today. So I'm just doing a little bit of preamble here, waiting for a few people to decide that they want to go ahead and come in. And it's just a wholesome boy here on YouTube Live playing with his ball. So obviously now we know I am going to be coming back for the 2022 NFL season, and the show is going to look different than what it has looked like in years past. So this video is to kind of talk about what that different is going to look like, and answer some questions about, again, what the show is going to kind of be this year. It's also a personal invitation is what this episode is, personal invitation to the Pick'em pool for this year, season 11, not only season 11 of the show, but season 11 of the Pick'em pool, which I think is pretty awesome. There's not a lot of pools, at least within this community, that have been going for this long. So week 11 of the Bridgewater's Finest Pick'em pool will certainly be back this year, along with confidence points, which of course everyone loves. And this video is also going to serve as my full playoff prediction for the playoffs for the 2022 season and my Super Bowl pick for Super Bowl 57. So all of that is going to be within this stream. I have no idea how long this stream is going to go. It might be 20 minutes. It might be an hour. I have no idea. I'm basically just going to talk until I don't have anything else to talk about. So again, killing a little time until some people come into the stream, but the biggest question has been answered. Am I doing a Pick'em show again this year? The answer to that is certainly yes. Before we move on, I do want to, of course, do the business that I would normally do in each show, and that is what's happening, everybody. Justin, Bridgewater's Finest on YouTube, Blockbuster_guy on Twitter, and I am fueled, as always, by the incredible folks at Nerd Tea. So I do want to do my due diligence and shout out my great friends and sponsors at Nerd Teas. Nerdteas.ca is where you need to go, folks, to get dozens and dozens of incredible loose leaf tea blends and accessories. It is a small business tea company based out of Woodstock, Ontario, Canada. They do great work. They have a great product. Literally, again, dozens and dozens of great blends. And today's blend is a golden apple cinnamon, just like I was drinking on my CFL show from just a couple of days ago. Nerdteas.ca is where you need to go, and you got to use my promo code, which is BWFinest. That is going to save you 15% at checkout. You're also going to get free shipping in Canada on any order over $100, which is a great value, and you're going to get a great conversion rate on the US dollar, which most NFL viewers obviously are going to be paying close attention to that. So great value on your dollar, 15% when you use my promo code. Nerdteas.ca. The promo code is BWFinest. Find yourself something to love, or find someone you love something to love. You can do that at nerdteas.ca. And the other relevant folks that I need to talk about this week and every week that I do the NFL show are, of course, my great friends at the Dynasty Trade Calculator. Now, there's information in the description to this stream where you can go and gain access to the Dynasty Trade Calculator, which is one of the absolute best resources online for dynasty, keeper, and long-term fantasy football. If you're like me, you're a freak on fantasy football, and I certainly am, and this year is going to be no different. The Dynasty Trade Calculator has literally won me leagues. It has literally won me leagues. I have made great moves in some of my long-term leagues, fueled entirely by the research and the resources that are available to me through the Dynasty Trade Calculator. We're talking about trade evaluations. We're talking about player rankings. We're talking about podcasts. They've got great experts on that site, and there's a ton of great information. If you're a Dynasty fantasy football player, if you're a long-term fantasy football player, you absolutely positively want to be on the Dynasty Trade Calculator. So my affiliate link, my referral link is in the description down below, and you can use that to gain access for as little as I think $3. You can gain access to the Dynasty Trade Calculator, and again, one of the absolute best tools that I have ever used in Dynasty, Keeper, and long-term fantasy football. So you want to go there if you are an aficionado of those things like I claim myself to be. So I am going to do what every good streamer is supposed to do and actually tweet about the fact that I am currently streaming. That probably would be a smart thing to do, especially with the announcement that I'm going to make very, very shortly. So what we're going to do, we're going to go here and we are going to share the link to this. Isn't it great? You get like a live view of a social media dork, like being a social media dork. So we are going to go ahead and we are going to post the link to that live now. Oops, live BIW, live now. Isn't this just riveting? Doesn't this just make you want to be a content creator? Literally just what you're seeing right here. We're going to go ahead and we're going to do that. We're going to get on Twitter. We're going to post this bad boy to Twitter as well. All right. Bingo and bango. We got that. And we got that. All right. So now that we got that tweeted out, hopefully we'll have a few more people join us. So the NFL Pick'em show for 2022. Is it going to be a thing? Obviously, yes, it's going to be a thing. What is that thing going to look like? So that's obviously a big question. I think I was the first member of this community, the NFL YouTube prognosticators community, a community that I love. And I'm obviously a very big fan of a lot of people that are within this community. I think I was the first person in this community to make the jump, not off of YouTube, obviously, because obviously I'm still on YouTube and I'm still right here, but to make the jump to podcasting. And doing the show as a podcast and making it available in an audio only format really brought me in a new audience, and it made the show more accessible. And I really enjoyed the change in the dynamic when I changed the show over to a podcast. And it wasn't the easiest transition to make. Now, that was a few years ago. I'm trying to remember exactly when I started the show as a podcast. I want to say it was either 2016. I think it was the 2016 season, maybe even 2015. It might have been that long ago. Anyway, I've sincerely enjoyed doing the show as a podcast. It's meant a lot to me. That is not going to change. The show is still going to be available in a podcast format, but we're going to be making a format change, a format jump once again. And we are going to be doing this show live. We being the proverbial we, meaning me. So this is now going to be a live show every single week. And there's a few reasons for that. I feel like the show has gotten a little stale over the last couple of years. I've at least noticed that the viewership on the show has kind of plateaued, and it'll hit a certain point early in the season and then it'll level off. And I feel like I'm not necessarily moving forward. And if you're not moving forward, chances are you're probably standing still. And in a game like, social media and content creation and YouTube, if you're standing still, you're probably moving backwards. And that's certainly not something that I want for the health of my channel, for the community that I've built, and for something that I truly love doing. So in the absence of wanting to move backwards, we're going to take this jump and we're going to try this year, doing this show live every single week. So my plans right now are to do this show live Monday nights. because I'm thinking, you know what? There's a built-in audience on social media Monday nights. You're watching Monday Night Football anyway. So, I feel like I could kind of open it up to a brand new audience by doing this show live on this YouTube channel every single week and doing the show Monday nights, probably in a time slot that's going to kind of run alongside Monday Night Football. Kind of, hit the people where they're at, and where they're at on Monday nights, watching Monday Night Football on social media. So you know what? Why not give it a go? That's what we're going to do this season. And if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. But I'm going to take this jump and see if I can build the show in front of a new audience and in front of a dynamic and live audience. And it's not really something I've ever had experience doing before, but I am really, really looking forward to it. Paxton Daly in the chat, love the idea. I'll be here to support you, Paxton. Thank you so much for that. I sincerely, sincerely appreciate it. So yeah, as opposed to the show being, a video that's produced every single week, we're gonna do this bad boy live. Nicholas Stevenson, my guy, my partner in the No Holds Barred podcast, which was live streamed for a period of time back on, my God, it was Ustream for a little bit. We moved over to Twitch. Was Twitch still even like Justin.tv maybe when we were doing that? That would be rather ironic. But so, I've done some live stuff before. Nick and I have done some live stuff before. So look, that's the way we're going to go for the show this year. And I'm super excited about it. Part of that too is, I can't impress upon you enough the amount of time it takes to produce the NFL show every week. To produce an hour-long show for a podcast, like I have to, like my whole day kind of, and obviously this is not what I do for a career. Like this is not a career of mine. This is a hobby, and one that I obviously take very seriously, but it's still very much secondary. So for me to do this, it's every week of like, the day starts at 8 in the morning, and I would be very, very lucky if it's fully produced and uploaded and ready for everyone to view by like 3. So we're talking about putting in a 7-hour day before going to my actual job and potentially putting in another 7-hour day. So it's a Herculean task, and it's one that I love doing. It's one that I've been doing for years, obviously, but that just the sheer amount of time is just something like I can invest my time in other ways, invest my time in growing the channel in other ways without taking all of the time that the production of that show normally takes. And anybody that does long form YouTube knows exactly what I'm talking about. So doing this show live, it's still about as much prep, but it's going to take a lot of the actual production work out of it, because the second that I hit end stream on this stream, this video is going to be available on the channel. Boom, like that. Now, taking that then later and turning it into a podcast, that's obviously going to be a little bit of extra work in the background, but it's not going to be anywhere near the length of time and the amount of work that the original show is. So to produce a similar product and a similar product in a new way, and to be able to do that more efficiently with my time, I think is something that's going to not only keep me motivated, but it's just going to put a new spin on doing the show. And that's the kind of thing that I'm really looking forward to doing this year. So it's going to be in a different format. Yes, it's still going to be available as a podcast. Yes, it's still going to be available on this channel, but we are going to be live every Monday night. And the actual specific timing I will be releasing in a couple of days on YouTube. In terms of what the format of the show is going to look like, there are going to be some changes from the last couple of seasons, because again, I kind of feel like the show's gotten a little stale. And if I feel like it's gotten stale, I'm sure you probably feel like it's gotten stale as well. So we're going to be doing the show a little bit differently. The format, the content's going to be a little bit different. That I'm going to leave as a mystery until week 1. So obviously week 1 of this show should be taking place on Monday. It should be live streamed Monday night. Sometimes it might be in this room. Sometimes it might be downstairs in what Nick and I affectionately deemed the No Holds Barred dungeon. So I think actually more often than not, it's probably going to be downstairs. If I can find like a consistent place to do it, I'd like the visual to be as similar as possible. So hopefully we can get something like that geared up, and we'll be doing this thing live every week. So I will kind of take a bit of a pause now, not only to take a sip of water, but if anybody's got any questions in the chat or anything like that, we will see. We will see what you guys think of that. Oh, actually, Reed Kelly in the chat. Live can be a good idea, but are you sure you want to do the live simultaneous as a game? I'll switch to the CFL game soon. Can't listen to that at the same time as listening to you. So that is definitely something that is a concern for sure. And maybe the timing of that is a little ambitious. I'm going to try it for the first couple of weeks and see what happens. You could be entirely right about that, Reed. I may not want to specifically do that while the Monday Night Football game is on. So I might try to squeeze the show in maybe before the game kicks off. That'll, of course, depend on timing with my other stuff. But I'm going to try it for the first little bit of the season, maybe the first 4 weeks. And then I have, you got to feel comfortable in this game pivoting if it's not working. So that is certainly a possibility. And again, that's thinking ahead. You may be entirely right about that. We'll see what happens after the first few weeks. But that's a great thought. And I'm glad you brought that up to me, because that obviously wasn't front of mind to me. Half Moon's Picks, where am I? You're watching a live stream, my friend. This is YouTube, just in case you didn't know. What's going on, man? Oh boy, that was like 15 minutes of continuous talking. Nobody wants to listen to that. I barely want to listen to that. All right, we'll take a pause now, and I'll let you know, like I mentioned off the top, part of this video is my invitation to you to join the Bridgewater's Finest Pick'em pool for season 11 of that pool. 11 years doing the NFL Pick'em pool. So if you look in the description of this live stream as you're watching it, or of the VOD after the stream is over, down in the description is all the information that you will need to join the Bridgewater's Finest NFL Pick'em pool for season 11 of the show. However, if you're watching live and you'd rather get it orally, AUR, instead of, the other one, if you'd rather get that information that way, I've got that information for you right here. Give me 2 seconds. What you're going to want to do is you're going to want to go to, on your web browser of choice, you're going to want to go to football.fantasysports.yahoo.com/pick'em. So once you go there, you're going to see obviously a few options for you, but there's a link there and a button there that I think it's a link actually. There's a link there that says join group. So you're going to want to click on that link, or if you want to go directly, it's football.fantasysports.yahoo.com/pick'em/register/join group. And once again, all this information is in the description of this stream and of the VOD here as well. So let's, where is the proper information for that? Come on. Where did I put you? I was just looking at you a minute ago. All right. So once you go to that link, click on the link or the link I just gave you, football.fantasysports.yahoo.com/pick'em/register and/join group. You're going to have 2 fields there. One is for a group ID and one is for a group password. The group ID is 29213. That was 29213. And the password is 123456789. Just the numbers 123456789. Group ID 29213. Password 123456789. So if you want to get in on the fun, join the Bridgewater's Finest Pick'em pool for season 11 of the show. All that information is there for you, as well as in the description to this stream and to the VOD. I think last year, I want to say we had 40 some people that were in the pool last year. Actually, I should be able to answer that question for you. Let's find last year's information here. See how many people were in our pool for season 11 of last year. NFL picks. That would be this one here. Let's see. How many people did we have in the pool last year? Oh, don't want that. Week there. Da-da-da. We only had 28 people in the pool last year. That's actually a down year. I'm used to having, somewhere between, 30 to 50 in the pool every year. So look, let's get those numbers back up. I know it's only a couple days before the season starts. You got to get in and join now if you want to be part of the fun in the Bridgewater's Finest Pick'em pool. So all that information once again in the description, and I just gave to you a minute ago if you're watching the VOD. Now, here's the main event of the show tonight. The main event of the show tonight is my full playoff prediction for the 2022 season, as well as my Super Bowl 57 champion. So I'm going to just pause here for a minute because I want to ask the folks who are here watching live. And by the way, if you're watching live, thank you so much for taking some time to hang out with me this evening. If you're watching the VOD, obviously that's fantastic. I hope there's hundreds of thousands of you watching this VOD, but I want to put a question out to the folks that are watching live right now. First of all, it's a two-part question. Who do you think is going to win the Super Bowl 57? And who do you think I picked to win Super Bowl 57? Full disclosure, my team affiliation is no mystery. But do you think I went with my team? Do you think I went with another team? Do you think I went with my team to go all the way to the Super Bowl and then lose in heartbreaking fashion? What do you think I picked for the Super Bowl 57 champion? And who do you think is going to win the Super Bowl in 2023? So I will leave that open to you, anyone that wants to toss into the chat here for a few minutes before we go into my full playoffs prediction for this year. Lovely sip of nerd teas before we keep going. If you missed the early part of the show, yes, there's going to be a Pick'em show, a picks show again this year. It is going to be a live stream. We're hoping to live stream every Monday night. That is the plan right now. Try it for a few weeks, see what happens, pivot the scheduling if we need to, but that's what we're going to do. Yes, it will still be available as a podcast. Yes, there is a Pick'em pool again for this year. The information in the description down below. All the fun stuff that we've gone over so far in this show. Half Moons Picks, a longtime member of this community, in the chat right now saying, I got money on Green Bay versus Kansas City, both winning the NFC and AFC title games. So Green Bay and Kansas City. So obviously I'm exceptionally happy to hear that you think the Green Bay Packers are going to win the NFC. Kansas City feels like a relatively safe bet to win the AFC. Although there's obviously, I mean, they genuinely have question marks, or usually have question marks, usually around the defense rather than anything else. I gotta wonder what that offense is actually going to look like. Obviously, you don't have Tyreek Hill this year. There's perpetual question marks at running back, like whether Clyde Edwards-Helaire is actually the guy. There's a lot of buzz, obviously, around Isaiah Pacheco, is that how you pronounce his name? There's a lot of buzz around him. They've got Ronald Jones in that backfield, I think. So there's a lot of guys there. It'll be interesting to see who really takes the reins in the backfield for Kansas City and what the offense looks like. But when you have Patrick Mahomes, you got a real good chance to win the AFC basically any chance you get. Reed Kelly, this may make you laugh. Canadian listening from Mexico. NFL question. Do you know your win spread OU record for last year? CFL question, what do you think about BC and the new quarterback? Okay, we can do this. So, do you know your win spread OU record for last year? Boy, we want to get into the ugly stuff, don't we? I did not have a good year in 2021, but yes, I do know this information, and I will give it to you now. So, straight up last year, just straight up picking winners and losers last year, I went 154, 117, and 1. So that honestly is not that bad. I like being in the 160s, so I do have to feel like that's a down season for me, at least a little bit. But 154, I mean, it's not too bad. It feels like it's not too bad over the course of a full NFL season. Against the spread, I was 9 games under 500. So I was 130, 139, and 3. So obviously we would like that to be a little bit better than what it was. You'd like to be 9 games over 500, I guess, if you had to be, but obviously we want that number to be better. So 130, 139, and 3 against the spread. My totals last year were an absolute abomination. I went 71, 101 on the totals before I gave up picking the totals for all the games. And I think just for some time, I think I was just doing the totals in the platinum, gold, silver, and bronze, where I was a bit closer to 500. I was 16, 19, and 1. So the totals were abysmal. Straight up, I feel like I did quite well. But the totals were where I gave back every little bit of goodwill that I had built basically all season last year. In terms of your CFL question, what do you think about BC and the new quarterback? It's funny. I tweeted about it a few days before anybody else was talking about it, really. I was like, look, if Michael O'Connor struggles, I said it. I said it on my show that week. I was like, if Michael O'Connor struggles for a few weeks, I could see BC going out and trading for Vernon Adams because it just made too much sense. Vernon Adams is too good of a quarterback to not be a starting quarterback in the CFL. He's more than capable of being a starting quarterback and an electric one at the CFL level. So I was like, it just makes sense because BC have to consider themselves Grey Cup favorites, or not, maybe not, if not favorites, legit contenders for the Grey Cup. If they need a quarterback, they got to go out and make that move. I didn't love them trading a first round pick for it, but Vernon Adams is more than capable, I think, of leading that team to a lot of success if the need should arise. And if Michael O'Connor's groin injury is worse than we think it is right now, then you know what? He may be called upon to do that. Half Moon in the chat again. Vegas has Buffalo and Tampa. Boy, I can't see the Bucks getting. Maybe this is spoilers. Boy, I can't see the Bucks getting to another Super Bowl. I just can't. It's such a cliche, but time is undefeated, and I think there's questions now more than anything else. Not necessarily about Tom Brady's health, but maybe about his dedication to still doing this after how long he's been doing it. The Bucks are a playoff team, no doubt about it, but boy, it feels like Vegas having Buffalo and Tampa is the same as like Vegas having the Toronto Maple Leafs as Stanley Cup favorites basically every year for the last few years. It's asking for people to donate their money because that feels like a money donation to me. Now, Half Moon followed that up in the chat going, Bucks easily win the division like Green Bay. I tend to agree with that, although I don't know that it's going to be specifically as easy for the Bucks, but we'll talk about that in a few minutes. Nicholas Stevenson in the chat going Denver Broncos, and that's just long time. That's just pure Nick right there. Nick, I miss us doing our podcast. God, I miss us doing our podcast. I really do. I know we're both old men now, but God, I miss us doing that vulgar, awful little podcast that we were doing. I miss that. I did odds. Green Bay $100 pays 500. So, hey, plus 500 on the Packers, and KC 100 pays 600. So I like both of those, honestly. I mean, I might like the Green Bay play a little bit more than the Kansas City play, but I can't really fault you for either one of those plays. Green Bay and Kansas City should obviously both have monster seasons again this year. Paxton Daly in the chat. Totals are such a hard area to pick. I've abandoned them for the most part. It's tough, man. Like it's to pick a total is to say that exactly how the game is going to go. And that's why people cherry pick stuff like that. Like even more so than spreads. Like spreads, you can say like, I have a general idea of how I think this game is going to go, as in like I have a general frame of a predicted score of what's going to happen. So that I totally get. But boy, when you're picking a total like over or under, you're really you're really trying to laser focus in. And I haven't shied away from doing that for years. Like for years, I've picked in both the NFL and CFL every game straight up, every game against the spread, every game on the total. So like I don't tend to shy away from stuff like that. I stopped doing the totals last year because I was just sucking at them so horrendously. But you know, it is definitely tough. It's a tough thing to do. Reed Kelly with a bunch of thumbs up saying thanks, no worries. Yeah, and Half Moon again. Bucks easy division like Green Bay. All right. As we just hit the 30-minute mark on the stream, let's get into, I'm going to put my ball down. Let's get into my playoff prediction. I'm going to bring out my lovely green book. My full playoff prediction for 2022. Oh, Reed, thoughts on Seattle this year? Preseason did not go well. Russell Wilson out. Does the coach have what it takes and the time to rebuild? I love Pete Carroll. I'm a really big fan of Pete Carroll. So, do I think Pete Carroll has what it takes? Yes. Does he have the motivation to fully rebuild a team? I think he's flat out said that he doesn't, or at least at one time said that he didn't. So it wouldn't, boy, that's a tough question. I really don't know. If I were him, I wouldn't be pumped on the idea, given where the team has come from. I think Drew Lock ultimately will be the starting quarterback for the lion's share of this season. I love the prospects of a guy like obviously DK Metcalf. I think DK is going to have a monster season this year. I think it's going to be a down year for Tyler Lockett, but I think it's going to be a monster year for DK Metcalf because I just think it's going to be like Kenny Lawler in Edmonton. The target share with a somewhat weaker quarterback is going to be so massively stacked towards him. I think DK is going to have a great year. Seattle, I mean, they might be a 5 or 6 win team, maybe. It's going to be really tough to say. Oh no. Look who's in the chat now. Half Moon's picks. First of all, I need a retiring 10-team parlay. Boy, the second you hit that, it's been nice knowing you. I'm sure we'll never see you again. As soon as you hit that thing, you'll be on an island and you'll be off in Cancun and no one will ever know a thing about you again, I'm sure. Hey, JR, should the Courtesy Flush League adopt NFL rules? Actually, it should be the other way around. The NFL should look at a league that actually knows how to challenge pass interference and do it properly. They should be looking at some of the rules in the CFL. Gio, I love you, as always. Bruin Steel in the chat now, too. Hey, what's up? How's it going? Look, man, it's going great. We're just getting through our week 0 here, and we are about to get into my full playoff prediction for the NFL in 2022. So the way that we're going to start this, obviously, is we're going to take a look at who I think is going to win each division. That will, of course, set up our playoff matchups, and I'm going to go through those playoff matchups until I get to my Super Bowl champion for Super Bowl 57. So in terms of the teams that are going to win the divisions, we'll start in the AFC. The AFC East, I think, like Buffalo seems like such an easy play here, but really when you look at them, like who's challenging them? Miami might be a double-digit win or might be a double-digit win team. They might, I mean, adding Tyreek Hill obviously is monstrous for them. I think their run game will be a little bit better. Down year for Mike Gesicki, I think, because he's not going to get those slot receiver reps that he's been used to getting over the last couple of years. So Miami might be a 10-win team, but when you're looking at Buffalo, what's Buffalo's ceiling? 15 wins? Could they potentially be 15-2? That wouldn't surprise me at all. I've got Buffalo actually 13-3-1. I got a little cheeky with my predictions there. So I'm going to take Buffalo, obviously, to win the AFC East at 13-3-1. Go to the AFC West, obviously, easily the best division in the AFC. if not the best division in football now. You're talking about, Mahomes and the Chiefs. You're talking about Derek Carr, who now gets to have Devontae Adams. Like, what a shiny new toy that is in Vegas. The Chargers are stacked on both sides of the football. That's such a good division. I think everybody in that division is going to be solid. And then obviously Denver, bringing in Russ, and just it hurts them losing Tim Patrick. It does. I think that might be one of the more underrated injuries that's happened so far. But I think that's going to hurt their pass attack. But genuinely, I think with Russ, I think they will be just fine. So massively stacked division. I'm actually going to take the Chargers to win that division. I think it comes very, very closely between the Chargers and the Chiefs. But I'm going to give the Chargers 13 wins, 13-4, and I'm going to have them take the division. So we got the Chargers winning the AFC West. Let's see. Half Moon. My money for Bridgewater's Finest is Buffalo. So you think I'm going to take the Bills to win the Super Bowl 57? Solid pick. Geo, Chargers are stacked and they don't have Phillip Rivers anymore. They are, and it's both sides of the ball. That defense is going to be that could be a top 5, certainly top 10 total defense in the NFL this year. They're going to be a very difficult out no matter who is playing them. AFC North, obviously really interesting. The AFC champion came from this division last year. You have the Ravens, who are like perpetually good. You've got the Steelers, who have, I think, a good defense and are kind of on the come up. We got to kind of see what happens with the quarterback position. But in terms of the North, I think it's probably going to be the Browns. No, I don't. It's not going to be the Browns. The Browns might win 5 games this year, and I think 4 of them will probably come after Deshaun's suspension is up. Oh boy, what an absolute tire fire. I'm going to go with Baltimore. I think Baltimore sneaks in, and that's also based off of a tie. I've got Baltimore finishing 10-6-1. So I've actually got Baltimore and Buffalo tying. Lovely, lovely nerd tease. I think they play in week 7. That game's in Buffalo. I just think that game's going to be a tie. Why not? It's my Colin Cowherd moment. I'm going to make a prediction, and I really don't need anything to back it up. It's just going to be the prediction that I make. So it's the Colin Cowherd special. But based on that, that's what I think kind of goes a long way to winning Baltimore that division. So again, I got the Ravens finishing 10-6-1 to win the AFC North, and I think that gives them the North over the Cincinnati Bengals. Geo in the chat, predicting ties? You betcha. Let's see. Brew and Steel. My Steelers need to work so hard to win the AFC North without Ben. Bengals are the favorite. Bengals are definitely the favorite to win the division. No question about it. I'm just taking the Ravens based on the shenanigans there in the game with Buffalo. Geo, Chargers Bills AFC championship game. Could very well be. Geo, I'm having a Stella Artois nerd tease. But Stella Artois, nerd tease should collab with Stella Artois. I'm going to write that down. One of my notes for Ruby over at Nerd Tease. I'm going to put that collab in her brain. Who knows? Look, Geo, if that happens, I will give you 10% of the cut that I make for suggesting it to Ruby. Geo, AFC North is overrated. It might be. I think you're looking at teams that have a great history of winning, but aren't necessarily great elite teams now. I think the Steelers certainly fall into that category. The Ravens might fall into that category. I just think it's going to be good enough for them to win that division. The Cleveland Browns may have happy endings. Good one, Moon. I like that. George Pickens going to go ham this season. I'm very high on George Pickens this year. I have exactly 0 shares of him in fantasy, but I think he's going to have a good rookie season. Reed Kelly watched Super Bowl 51 yesterday. That was a tie. Great game. Brew and Steel. TJ Watt needs to break the sack record. Did he break it or did he tie it? last year, or the year before, or he was close last season. He was awfully close last year. That would be awesome. That'd be a heck of a story. So far, we've got Buffalo winning the East. We've got the Chargers winning the West. And we've got Baltimore winning the North in the AFC. Oh, he tied it. He tied it, but he didn't break it. I get you. I get you. That only leaves the AFC South. And obviously, we're talking about really two teams in that conversation. It's the Indianapolis Colts and it is the Tennessee Titans. Tennessee can't seem to stay healthy. It seems like a perpetual thing for them. They pick up, last year they picked up Julio Jones. Julio was on and off the field all year for them, basically, and certainly was not as effective as they hoped that he would be. I'm going to take the Colts, and I think it's going to be somewhat competitive, but I might be kind of on the opposite side of most projections for Tennessee. I think Tennessee regresses this year. I think Derrick Henry regresses personally, and I think based on that, I think the Titans regress. I don't think their defense is quite as good maybe as some people are giving it credit for, and if the offense regresses even a little bit, you're going to potentially run into a quarterback controversy there, which definitely doesn't do any good things for the locker room. I just see a record regression for them. And I genuinely think Indianapolis wins this division. I think they get to 11 wins. So I'm going to give the Colts 11-6. Gio saying AFC is a real crapshoot. It kind of was. As I'm sitting there doing the predictions, I'm like, it would be very easy to go with what almost everyone else was going with, which actually is basically Buffalo. And more people were going with KC, I think, to win the West than the Chargers. Cincinnati in the North, and probably Tennessee in the South. But I don't know. Just didn't feel like that was the way to go. Let's move over to the NFC. Now, before we do that, Half Moon's picks. Indianapolis wins easily. Rest of the division stinks. Two of the teams in that division, I think, certainly stink. Although I got such a soft spot for Davis Mills in Houston. Man, I want that guy to succeed big time. I want him to have a monster season this year. At the end of this year, I want people to be having the debate about, is Davis Mills a top 12 quarterback in this league? I want him to have such a great season this year. I just don't think Houston's going to do a lot. Although I really liked what they did in the draft, bringing in Dameon Pierce. So I like that, and I hope Davis Mills has a big season. I just don't think it's going to all come together for Houston in that way. NFC. Let's start with the East. The NFC East obviously is a massive coin flip really a massive coin flip between Philly and Dallas. But you could see Washington potentially making some noise, assuming Chase Young gets back on the field as soon as possible. They got some pieces there. I think I got to go with the Eagles here, though. I'm feeling there's going to be a regression from Dallas this year as well. Sort of the same deal as Tennessee. I don't think that defense is as good as some people are talking about. Now they've lost a big piece of their offensive line. And the wide receiver room doesn't look the same as it did a couple of years ago. And they're really hinging everything on Dak Prescott's ability to be like a top 5 quarterback. And I don't necessarily know that that's in him. I don't even know if that's his ceiling. So I like Philly. There's question marks in Philly around Jalen Hurts. I think a lot of that is noise, to be perfectly honest. So I like Philly. I'm going to give Philly 11 wins, and I think Philly wins the division. Let's see. Half Moon, go get Matty Ice. Matty Ice is done, says Gio. Best running back in the game. I'm assuming Half Moon's talking about Derrick Henry there. He's certainly in the conversation. I just think there's going to be a regression this year. So, NFC West, obviously the defending Super Bowl champion, Los Angeles Rams come from this division. This used to be a stacked division. This used to be the AFC West of the NFL. Like, this was the division everyone talked about as like, there's definitely going to be 3 playoff teams that come out of this division, and this is going to be incredible. And it's not really that anymore. Like, you've got the Rams that are obviously a very good team, and I think will make a lot of noise again this year. And you've got the Niners, who I think, depending on how Trey Lance progresses as the QB1 of that team, I think the Niners have a lot of upside this year. I'm actually going to take the Niners to win this division. I got San Fran getting to 11 wins. I think LA gets right in that same area. Could come down to some tiebreakers, but this is one of my quote-unquote upset plays. I have a lot of faith in Trey Lance, actually, and I think Jimmy Garoppolo re-signed with that team for a reason. I think he sees what is there, and genuinely, I think the Niners are going to be a dangerous, dangerous team this year. So I'm going to give the Niners 11 wins, and for me, that is going to be good enough for them to win the NFC West. Let's see. Let's go to the chat. Give me Eagles minus 18 over the Lions in week 1, says Half Moon, who is, in fact, a Lions fan. Gio, terrible quarterbacks in the NFC East. Tough to deny that, at least a couple of them. Rams will not repeat. Hashtag GK. That's from Gio. We'll talk about it. Dallas O-line is broken. They are a shadow of their former selves. Fair enough. Moon, San Fran. I was going to bet under 10 wins. Not for me anyway. Look, that team is snake bitten injury-wise. If they fall into that injury bug again, then totally. There might only be an 8 to 9 win team, and they might look like, boy, this was all a lot of talk. I'm assuming that I'm assuming we live in a perfect world where injuries don't happen. So for me, I have a lot of faith in that San Fran core if it all stays together. Deebo Samuel is an absolute weapon, and now that that's behind them all, they can focus on football. I think Brandon Ayuk is going to have a monster bounce back year this year. You got George Kittle, who is a monster, and boy, that defense, I think, is really, really good. So that's where I'm coming from. Yeah, San Fran always injured at the end of the season. Moon, it's really tough for me to debate that, but it's because it has been the case. But I still have a lot of faith in them. Then we got Reed from the chat. What's your opinion on playing starters in the preseason? And did the preseason really show how teams will start the season, meaning how well they gel? There's something to that, I'm sure. Look, I'm not I'm not in football. I didn't play football in high school. My high school didn't have it available to me. I'm certainly not a coach. I'm not on the inside. So I'm sure there's something to that. It's important to teams. It's important to team management to have those preseason games. Playing starters in the preseason, boy, other than maybe give them the first half of week 1 and then maybe the first quarter of the other games, just so they get back into that routine of, hey, it's game day, prepare for games the same way, to give them those preparatory reps. That I get. But the longer you keep starters in preseason games, the more you're asking for trouble. Like, guys that are studs and they're going to make your team. Like, boy, you got to, I think you really got to think about that. That's a delicate balancing act. But preseason, great way for the rookies to get those reps against NFL competition, even if it's second and third string, and they're still NFL players. So absolutely. For rookies, it's fantastic. For those established starters, boy, you really got to think hard about that. And yes, Gio, my high school team was named the Vikings. Easiest prediction of all of these, NFC North, Green Bay Packers are going to get to 13 wins again this year. 13-4, Green Bay wins the division. Now, what I will say is that's going to be predicated a lot more on the performance of the defense. I genuinely think this has the potential to be a top 5, top 10 defense this year. There's a lot of pieces on that Packers defense that I absolutely love. The offense, that's going to be a work in progress, man. I got to see it for the first little bit. Now, what I do love is I love the prospect of them using a true 2 running back system. They got 2 very talented running backs there in Aaron Jones and AJ Dillon. And even if AJ Dillon's going to get the majority of the rushing reps and they're utilizing Aaron Jones more as a receiver, I think he's the better receiver of the two. I would love to see them do that. The more they can spread Aaron Jones out wide, he's a weapon. Why not use him that way? But I have a ton of faith in Matt LaFleur as the head coach of this team. You got Aaron Rodgers, you got a chance to win a Super Bowl. So I think Green Bay gets to 13 wins. I think they easily should win this division, but there is another team in the division that I do think gets to 10 wins, and we'll talk about that in a minute. The last prediction is the NFC South. I believe Moon said it earlier. One of the easier bets is the Tampa Bay Bucks to win the NFC South. So I will go ahead and give them the NFC South this year at 10-7. However, I think they're going to be in more of a dogfight with the New Orleans Saints than a lot of people are giving the Saints credit for. That defense in New Orleans is nasty, and it is going to be nasty all season long. If the offense has some movement to it, if they have some oomph on offense, they're going to win a lot of games this year. I think they're being slept on a bit underrated. I think they're going to give Tampa a run for their money. I obviously don't think Tampa is the same kind of team that they've been over the last couple of years. I think they take a step back, but I do think it's good enough to still win the division at 10-7. Let's go to the chat. Aaron Rodgers has found his zen. He has. It's called ayahuasca. I got the Lions under 6.5 wins this season, says Moon. Maybe look, but let me ask you, Moon, as a Lions fan, if they win 6 games this year, is that like a happy result for you? Like if they go 6-11, doesn't that have to feel like kind of an accomplishment for Motor City Dan Campbell? What do you think? Gio, how do you feel about the Vikings moving to a 3-4 defense? Weren't they already in a 3-4 defense? Or am I totally confused? I might be totally confused. There's 32 teams in this league. It's a lot for a poor, meager Canadian brain. Tampa Bay O-line injured week 1. Good under week 1 versus Dallas. On the nose. Half Moon, I'd be happy at 6 wins. Shows improvement with the Dan. Yeah, honestly, I think everyone just wants Dan Campbell to succeed. I genuinely think there's just a ton of people in this league that just want Dan Campbell to do well, and I'm on board with that. I hope Motor City Dan Campbell does incredible things with the Lions. I would love to see the Lions be like the number 7 seed in the playoffs in the NFC. Maybe not this year, but in the next couple of years, I would love to see them just kind of shock everybody and sneak in and get a playoff spot. Like that would make me happy. I'd be like, look at them. Like, look at them. That's awesome. Yeah, shows improvement with Dan. He's a good players coach. I agree. I haven't gotten to watch a lot of Hard Knocks, but I've heard that he seems like he's getting like rave reviews from people. All right. So we've gone over who I think is going to win the divisions. AFC, we got Buffalo, the Chargers, Baltimore, and Indianapolis. And in the NFC, we've got Philadelphia, San Francisco, Green Bay, and Tampa Bay winning their respective divisions. Now let's go over to the full playoff bracketology. Here's how I think it's going to go down. On the AFC side of things, I've got Buffalo as the 1 seed at 13-3-1. I've got the Chargers as the 2 seed at 13-4. The Colts at the 3 seed at 11-6. Baltimore as the 4 seed at 10-6-1. So those are your 4 division winners. Your 5, 6, and 7, your 3 wildcard spots, sorry, I've got breaking down like this. I've got Kansas City getting to 12 wins this year, which means there'll be a 12-5 team at the 5 seed. I've got the Cincinnati Bengals at 10-7. Cincinnati getting the 6 seed in the AFC. And the number 7 seed, the final playoff seed, I've got the Denver Broncos at 10-7, getting into the playoffs with Russell Wilson. I don't think they're going to run roughshod in an incredibly difficult division, but at 10 wins, I think it's going to be good enough for them to get into the postseason. Now, this leaves teams on the outside looking in, like the Las Vegas Raiders, who I talked about a little bit before. Pittsburgh, I think Pittsburgh could get to 9 wins, 9-8. I don't think it's going to be enough to make the playoffs, but I think that's their defense could probably propel them to being close to a playoff spot, but ultimately bubbling out. The Tennessee Titans and, of course, the Miami Dolphins. I've got those teams coming close. They're going to be in the conversation right down to the end of the year, but I don't have them making the postseason this year. So that's the way it looks in the AFC. In the NFC, I've got the Packers winning the 1 seed at 13-4. The 2 seed, I've got San Francisco at 11-6. The 3 seed, I've got Philadelphia also at 11-6. And the 4 seed is the Tampa Bay Bucks at 10-7. I've got the Rams also getting to 11-6, but losing on a tiebreaker to the Niners for that division. So I've got the Rams slotting in at 10-6 in the 5 seed in the NFC. I've got the New Orleans Saints sneaking into the playoffs at 10-7. I've got them as the number 6 seed in the NFC. And the number 7 seed in the NFC. And I said earlier that I thought there were 2 teams in the NFC North that would get to double-digit wins. That actually was a lie, but I think the number 7 seed in the NFC to get into the playoffs at 9-8, Gio's Minnesota Vikings. I got the Minnesota Vikings at 9-8, sneaking into the final NFC playoff spot. You might need some tiebreakers in there, but I've got the Vikes going to the playoffs as the number 7 seed. That means a team like Arizona, they got problems this year. Don't think they're going to make it. Dallas, I don't have them making it. And the Carolina Panthers, I don't hate Carolina this year. Like, I think their defense a little bit better than people are giving it credit for. I think the Baker Mayfield revenge tour, I think, is real. If Christian McCaffrey doesn't explode, which he's done the last 2 seasons, but if he doesn't explode, I think they have the potential to actually make some noise this year. I don't have them making the playoffs. I have them falling short, but don't sleep on the Carolina Panthers this year. That's all I'm going to say. So we got in the AFC, Buffalo, Chargers, Colts, Ravens, Chiefs, Bengals, and Broncos. And in the NFC, I've got Packers, Niners, Eagles, Bucks, Rams, Saints, and Vikings. So that's your playoff seeding. Now we can talk about some playoff matchups. What do we got in the chat? Geo, Lions are getting better. Slow roll uphill, says Moon. Bengals probably take a step back. Super Bowl loser curse. There's certainly a lot of history on your side in saying that, as Moon points out. Geo, I think I like your NFC analysis better than your AFC. Fair enough. That's a fair criticism. Don't mind that. Geo, very happy that I have the Vikings making the playoffs. Half Moon, Cousins in the playoffs. You like that? Geo says no. Geo is a Vikings fan. Look, Geo, I got your boys making the playoffs. That's as much as I can give you. We'll talk about our game picks here in just 1 second. That's my last sip of water. That's dangerous. All right. So that would set up Super Wildcard Weekend playoff matchups of the following. In the AFC, you'd have Denver visiting the Chargers. You'd have Cincinnati visiting Indianapolis. And you would have Kansas City visiting Baltimore. In the NFC, you got Minnesota visiting San Francisco. You've got New Orleans visiting Philadelphia. And you've got the Rams visiting the Bucks of the 5-4 matchup. So those are your first round matchups as I see them in the NFL this season. Predictions for those, I actually think it goes the same in both conferences. I've got the 2 seed over the 7 seed. I've got the 6 seed upsetting the 3 seed. And I've got the 5 seed upsetting the 4 seed. So in the first round in the AFC, I've got Chargers over Broncos. This is on Super Wildcard Weekend. I've got Bengals upsetting the Colts. And I've got the Chiefs upsetting the Baltimore Ravens. So we've got the Chargers, the Bengals, and the Chiefs moving on to the second round in the AFC. And over in the NFC, again, same configuration. I've got the Niners over the Vikings. That's in San Francisco. I've got the Saints upsetting the Eagles in Philadelphia. And I've got the Rams upsetting the Bucks in Tampa Bay. So we've got, again, San Francisco, the New Orleans Saints, and the Los Angeles Rams moving on to the second round in my predictions. So that sets up division round games in the AFC of Cincinnati at Buffalo. And what's the 2 and 5? Yeah, Cincinnati at Buffalo. No, sorry. It's the Cincinnati at Buffalo and Kansas City at the Chargers. Sorry, it's we just crossed an hour, so I had a little mini I think I had a little mini sleep there for a second. And in the NFC side of things, we've got the Saints visiting the Packers, and we've got the Rams visiting the 49ers. So in the AFC, I've got the Buffalo Bills beating the Cincinnati Bengals. This is in the divisional round. And I've got the Chargers beating the Kansas City Chiefs. That is going to be such an incredible game. Every time we get that game's going to be fireworks. That is going to be a heck of a good time. So that means the AFC Championship game is the top 2 seeds. It's the Buffalo Bills and it's the Los Angeles Chargers. Over on the NFC side of things, I've got Green Bay over the New Orleans Saints in the divisional round. And I've got the Rams actually upsetting the 49ers in the divisional round. I'll take that playoff experience. I'll take that Super Bowl pedigree. We're going to take the Rams upsetting the San Francisco 49ers in the divisional round on the NFC side of things. That sets up an NFC championship game of the Green Bay Packers playing host to the Los Angeles Rams. We'll give folks a minute or two in the chat to follow up with me there. Gio, I've lost a ton of money betting on or against the Chargers ever since I started betting on the NFL, but I really think the Chargers have something special going on. I full well agree. Again, stacked on both sides of the ball, playmakers on both sides of the ball. They got a coach who I don't agree with 90% of what he does, but he generates success. There's something special going on in Los Angeles this year for sure. Half Moon's picks, Green Bay money shot. Hey, gotta love it. Gio, again, having Herbert on a rookie deal means the world to them because they don't have to spend 35% of their cap on one player. KC has regressed since they stupidly paid Mahomes all that money. Man, that is the financials of sports in a nutshell. We see this in the NHL all the time. Goaltenders on rookie deals, star forwards on rookie deals. You got all this money to spend everywhere else to insulate and build a great team. Look at the Colorado Avalanche, a team that just won the Stanley Cup. Or you can have a superstar player that takes less money. And that was exactly what Nathan MacKinnon did. He took less money and he willy-nilly won himself a championship. Hopefully he does it again because he's got a new contract coming up. But you're 100% right. It's the financials. Somebody in a prime position like that being on a rookie deal and you don't have to throw the world at them money-wise, it makes a big difference. Now, in the NFL, the salary cap is like what do you call it? You call it guidelines more than actual rules because there's obviously 1,000,001 ways to circumvent the cap and get around things. But you're 100% right that like just having all that money to spend on other roster players, it makes a big difference. All right. AFC Championship game. The Buffalo Bills playing host to the Los Angeles Chargers. I don't have score predictions on any of these. I do have a score prediction for my predicted Super Bowl, but I don't have a score prediction for any of these. The Los Angeles Chargers going into Buffalo. Great quarterback matchup here, assuming nobody gets hurt. I think this Chargers team is something real special. Not that I don't think Buffalo is a team that's really special, but Buffalo is a team that does have a specific Achilles heel. And I think it's their ability to run the ball. They can not run the ball and beat a lot of teams, kind of like Tampa Bay last year. I think they were like one of the lowest running teams in the league, but their run defense was so incredible. And they did so many other things. Like you can run the ball that little and still beat a lot of teams. But I think when it gets cold, I think you got to be able to run the ball. And I think the Chargers are going to be able to do that. I think they got multiple guys on their roster that can do that. I don't think the Bills do. I'm taking the Chargers on the road in Buffalo. Chargers upset the Bills in the AFC Championship game. The Los Angeles Chargers with Justin Herbert going to Super Bowl 57. I take back some of those things I said about you earlier from Geo. Everything you say about me, Geo, I know comes with love. Half Moon just says, ew. Look, I think the Chargers have something special. I've got them going to the AFC title game. Feel real good about it. Now, the NFC Championship game, which, as I mentioned earlier, the Green Bay Packers at the number 1 seed in the NFC, taking on the defending Super Bowl champion, the Los Angeles Rams. I've got this game in Green Bay. Obviously, it's Matt Stafford playing in Green Bay. He's got plenty of experience playing against the Green Bay Packers and playing games in Lambeau Field. Don't think it's going to matter. Lambeau in January, baby. I've got the Green Bay Packers beating the Los Angeles Rams in the NFC Championship game and going to Super Bowl 57, which sets up a Super Bowl 57 matchup of the Los Angeles Chargers and the Green Bay Packers. Tell me if you are shocked. Half Moon. Yes, I'll win $500. There you go. Oh, so your bet is just on the Packers to get to the Super Bowl, not necessarily to win the Super Bowl, but 5-1 to get to the Super Bowl. I like that. I like that play a lot. Packers Rams a good call. I think it's a good call in the NFC title game. I genuinely think that's a solid play. Yep, win the NFC. Cool. I love that bet, Moon. I would absolutely make that bet. Packers Chargers would be a great Super Bowl. I agree, Gio. That's what I think it's going to be, and that is what I'm certainly hoping for, and it's what I'm predicting. So, Packers Chargers Super Bowl 57 by a final score. What did I write the final score down as? By a final score of 34-28, the Super Bowl MVP Justin Herbert leads the Los Angeles Chargers to Super Bowl 57 glory, 34-28. The Los Angeles Chargers are my prediction to win Super Bowl 57. Will that be heartbreaking as a Green Bay Packers fan? Yes, it will. But in a game like that, I think it comes down to the quarterback play. It comes down to the players insulating that quarterback. And while I think as it sits today, probably Rodgers over Herbert, if based on nothing else, experience. When you look at the supporting cast, I think the Chargers have it, at least on the offensive side. I think they just have more weapons. There's more guys that Herbert can reliably put the ball into their hands, and we have to see what the Green Bay receiving core is going to grow into. We know what Randall Cobb is, right? We kind of know what Sammy Watkins is, assuming he's healthy. But like, we don't know what Romeo Doubs is going to be. We don't know what Christian Watson is going to be. And there's a huge difference between being able to do it in the regular season, in your first NFL season, and being able to do it deep into the playoffs. Not everybody is Jamar Chase. And I think we're going to see that this year. I think it's good enough to get them to the Super Bowl. I don't think it's good enough to get them up over the hump. And again, will that be heartbreaking for me? Yes, it will. It'll be heartbreaking for a ton of Green Bay Packers fans. That's the way I think it's going to go. Los Angeles 34, Green Bay 28. Chargers win the Super Bowl. Justin Herbert, let's say 3 total touchdowns. I think the man wins the Super Bowl MVP. I got the Chargers. $100 wins $1,400 if the Bolts win the Super Bowl. Needed some lovely nerd teas on that one. Geo, damn fine prediction. 2 thumbs up. Appreciate that, Geo. That's what I think is going to happen. So there you go. That's the week 0 episode. That's really all we had to talk about. We introed what the show is going to look like this year, that it's going to be a live show. It's going to be a live show every single week. We're going to start on Monday nights. Hopefully Monday night works for us. If it doesn't, we're going to be comfortable pivoting off to another night. But as it's going to start Monday nights, live streamed from my humble abode, Justin's NFL Football Pick Show, back for the 2022 season. Get in on the Pick'em pool now if you have not. The information is in the description down below, and I gave it to you earlier on this VOD. And that's how I think the playoff is going to go as we sit here right now, as I make my prediction. Chargers, Packers, and Super Bowl 57, and I got the Chargers getting the win. So if there's anything else anybody wants to chat about, anybody wants to bring up in the chat, we'll give it a few extra minutes before we get out of here, and look forward to this coming Monday, where I will be live streaming week 1, my week 1 picks for the 2022 NFL season. Half Moon saying I may play a small amount on the Bolts at 14-1 to win the Super Bowl. I genuinely, a lot, like if you see a really good team that's like 12-1 or longer to win the Super Bowl, I think that's, it's worth at least tossing a couple of bands on it. You got a few grand to throw on that, right, Moon? I mean, it's, doesn't everybody? When is your week 1 video coming? So once again, Moon, so I'm going to be live streaming the show this year. So if you can't make it to the show live, which I'm going to start doing them on Monday nights, that's quite all right. As soon as I hit end stream, the stream is going to upload and start going up on YouTube. So the show will be available shortly after the stream every week, and when that's available, obviously I'll be posting that out that it's available. So we're going to be doing the week 1 stream on Monday night. Geo, aren't you going to be doing the Progs pool next Monday? Depending on when the scheduling is. Like, look, do we even have enough teams to fill that league? Genuinely, next Monday, I think the stream will probably be at some point through the day. I don't have because I mean, it's Labor Day, right? I'm not going to be working. So I think it'll be sometime earlier. So I'll probably be able to get around that. Who's doing the survival pool this year? That's a great question. Chris has done it in the past, so it would be worth getting in touch with him. We're up to 10 teams. Oh, that's good. That's good information to have. Hopefully we get up to 12. If we only have 10, we can go with 10. But I'll make that schedule work where I'll certainly be available for that draft. A little water at the bottom of this, maybe? A little bit. Okay, so what I've learned already from doing this stream live, we're at almost an hour and a quarter. I'm gonna need more water than this. So that's one thing that I have learned very, very quickly, because boy, I plowed right through this. So we're gonna need more water than this. That's okay. We can do that. Also, I'm almost done my tea too. All right, folks. I think we're going to go ahead and call it there. That's the week 0 episode. That's all the information, all the news that's fit to print, ladies and gentlemen, about my show this year. I will see you again at some point on Monday, where I will be live streaming my week 1 picks for the 2022 NFL season. And I am exceptionally excited about it. That's it for me, Justin, Bridgewater's Finest on YouTube, Blockbuster_guy on Twitter, fueled as always by the incredible folks at Nerd Tees and my empty cup. Gio, very fun video. Thanks for doing this. Thank you very much for being a part of it, Gio. I appreciate that. Half Moon's Picks, thanks for streaming. Always fun. 2 thumbs up. This is what I hope this season will be. Some fun interaction, giving you the picks, talking football for an hour and a half. And again, for my audio listeners, my podcast listeners, do not worry. This show will be a podcast. We're going to be fine. Thank you so much for taking the time to join me on the stream or watch the VOD afterwards. Let's have an awesome season in 2022 for the NFL, like we're having in the CFL. There's CFL action on right now, and I'm going to go watch some. Thank you for joining me, folks. We will see you on Monday.